witnesses for being here today. As the chairman knows, I've been a strong advocate and supporter of the Competes Act. My district has a research and development arm of the University of Texas in Austin. The high tech, all the companies you mentioned are in some form or fashion in my district. And it's a federal investment that, while I'm against a lot of the current spending in the Congress, I think this is one of those investments that we can't afford not to do. And the return on the investment, like with the NASA program, has been extraordinary. We talked about the gathering storm. I agree, Dr. Moat, that this is a national security issue as well. But I see a gathering storm occurring right now in the Congress as the Competes Act stagnates in the Senate, the possibility that it may not pass, in combination with the tax cuts expiring. And then we have an extraordinary large tax increase. And I know the R&D tax credit is huge. I know the penalizing companies that do business overseas. And I think we need to incentivize through the tax code businesses to locate here and create jobs here in the United States. And I think that's something we can do. But the storm I see, though, is a combination of these two events: Competes not passing, and then the tax cuts expiring. And that's the reality right now that we're looking at in the Congress. And I just wanted to get the panel to comment on those two events colliding at the same time.
First, I agree that these are very important issues. One thing I would like you to possibly consider is in the way you give credits for companies to locate here. Think about it project by project, not as across-the-board issues. In Dan's summary of the 6 countries that were doing a good job, China and Singapore came to the top. And let me assure you, they will sit down with any major company in the U.S. and talk about a project you want to put there and what do you need to accomplish it. Norm described some of those kind of concessions about land and training and so forth. We have that on the state level here. We don't have it on the national level. And I'd urge you to think about some kind of a very, very objective where it could not be politically motivated, it would be right interest of the country to allow companies to come forward and make that case.
That's a good point. Yes.
Briefly, I use the example of the net present value of one of our manufacturing facilities. It's like a Texas Instrument, when Texas Instruments did a lot of manufacturing in the U.S., but it's a multi-billion-dollar facility, employs a couple of thousand people at extraordinarily high manufacturing salaries. The disincentive in the United States to locate those facilities is the corporate tax rate and the lack of any incentives at the national level. State by state can give some incentives, but those are second-tier incentives relative to the federal tax rate. The biggest disincentive is to locating those facilities ongoing is, in fact, essentially the highest corporate tax rate in the world. In fact, drives people to make the logical financial investment to locate those facilities outside of the U.S. into a low or zero tax rate environment.
If I could just, because the companies I talk to, they want to stay here in the United States, but we're not providing the incentives. And bottom line, it's about making a profit. You have a duty to your shareholders, and if we can't incentivize them to stay here, they're not going to, although they want to. They're patriotic. But Dr. Augustine?
I just wanted to add to your comments that I can't think of a stronger signal that this Congress could send in a negative fashion than to not pass the America Competes Act. The members of the science and engineering community, the business community, I suspect might conclude that it's over. I realize those are strong words, but they're considered words. I think of just as an example, to set a framework, as Congressman Wilson said, America has always been the leading country in particle physics. This country has always had the most powerful accelerator in the world. Now, for the first time, the most powerful accelerator is in France and Switzerland. The physicists from around the world are moving to France and Switzerland. They're leaving America, going there, because that's where the work is, that's where the excitement is. That's where the promise is, and that's the challenge I think we face.
Right, and that's compelling testimony, Mr. Chairman, to say if it doesn't pass, it's over. And I think that I would love to see nothing more than this passing out of the Senate and being really the legacy of the chairman who has tried to advance this and advance the ball. And I hope that this will have some impact on deliberations in the Senate so we can move forward in this Congress. And thank you.